Here when we start, you can see the main menu room with two speakers firing left and right surround sound, which was to create a cool sounding atmosphere. This is the big screen that the player can use to select a function. Some are grayed out due to the fact we implemented these functions, but never were ready for final release. Level select, for example, is never used because we only had the one level implemented, and settings never had much of a use during development since we would change these in the code. There are some planned setting menus that I'll upload to the project website, but not much more. You can see a tutorial level that we implemented for playtesting and did get used, just we never had much use for it after that. The art used here at the side is only temporary since this style of menu is what I use during development. On this menu, I do struggle to select the options, and this is because I'm not really used to the VR controls even after this long. Once I select play from first level, we will get into the game. This is for the planned night level exit and would be lit up on that stage. This sign is part of the idea we had to use the breadcrumbs method to lead the player, but this part just tells the player that the docks are ahead but in the style of a warning sign. You can see along here I also put some decorative lamps along leading up to the border of the level. This again would be for the night level exit section. This is Luke's barrier he made in Blender, and the whole point is to visualize the invisible wall into something that makes sense for the game. Along here, you can see the idea for the story is that you drive into the docks and exit up the long road. This is the main weapon of the game called the tomato launcher that fires tomatoes out. There's a pickup sound made by Isaac and a firing sound. This is a model that was for another game of Luke's, but we found a use for it in Project Spy. This is a cone that uses simulate physics and the grab mechanic to demonstrate one of the ideas we had for level geometry. You can see it gets stuck on the hand with the weapon sometimes, and I couldn't find how to fix this. I'm really disappointed we couldn't get the katana working in the recording, but it did function at one point, and even seconds before we started recording it would mount to the hand. This is a part where I'm demonstrating some of the hiding spots we made, where the enemies are designed not to go anywhere near here. This here is my hiding spot from those enemies. Let's get into battle. These enemies use a pawn sensing to detect the VR character, and whenever they see the player they will lock on and chase until they either get the player or don't see the player anymore. One shot from the tomato launcher and they're all defeated. You see the different colored boxes, which all are part of the scenery of the docks, but also serve a purpose of telling the player there's nothing to see behind here, because of it being the bounds. These are the spotlights designed by Luke and shine a light down onto the ground both here and the seafront. These would be part of breadcrumbs to guide the player and to light up on the night level exit. You might be able to hear the tomato squelch sound when each one walk, but if not, this is what it sounds like. This is for the player to hear a tomato bouncing towards him and warn the player. You can jump behind these enemies, and would have been for if the player had the katana, and spawn the split model. Here is one of the big hordes of enemies to give the player a challenge, using either gun easy mode or katana hard mode. Another one of these hidden areas the enemies can't get into, although they block the entrance. You can see some of the low poly boxes here, because there wasn't much reason to run into this area other than to recover from enemies. Here there are some signs to show the player not to jump in due to this being poison water. You can see the spotlights up above as well. There's another invisible wall here, but the plan was to leave some wooden crates in the final release along here, to visualize the block. This is the first true time the VR player can see the VR character model, which is Potato Spy in the shadow. On the right is a solar panel lamp. At the side you can see a vent with smoke, which we will get onto later on, but this is to guide the player to go inside the ship. This is a staircase that I had to create custom collision for and walls at the sides so you don't fall off it. Due to the small step-up collision, you can drop a weapon without it getting trapped. You even get to see the back of the level from the ship, which hides any extended level geometry from the player. For the wheel we wanted it to spin, but again, we had limited time to make this game. We've arrived at the inside of the ship where the mission is. We need to find a keycard. There isn't a guide for that yet, but that would be on the spy glasses we never had time to implement. You see the weapon physics work well. Up here, there is a metal pipe, which leads to deeper within the ship. Up at the top, we have a ceiling light model. some dummy doors and another horde of tomatoes you can use the katana on. There's that pipe from earlier. There's some glassware in here for effects, and some safes you can see around. Up here is a chalkboard that explains the tomatoes have a secret weapon in the lab, which is the next level, for which you need a keycard. Quick warning below is to not leave your keycard in your safe, which is a tomato citizenship card. This proves you are a tomato, and not a potato, and not a flawed system at all. I tried to pick up the keycard in the safe, but sadly, it doesn't work like the katana. The safe should have an animation, but we didn't get it working in time. A metal table too. Here you can see the fishing hut that would be used for decoration. The fishing rod model didn't want to appear, but it is in there. Down below, you can see the poison water that the signs point to. Ah. Here we go again. This would be used earlier on to get a preview of up ahead. Another map design feature. You can also see a dual wielding feature we never ended up using here. Now we've come to the end of the level. That's all there is to Project Spy.